Okay, we have some breaking news just in of 3 Chinese ships right now sitting in Australian waters. Nine National Affairs editor Andrew Probyn is live. Andrew, what can you tell us?
Well, Sophie, it's not just the vessels that are off the northeast of Australia in the Coral Sea. There's been another serious incident in the South China Sea a couple of days ago, the 11th of February. We're told that a P8 Poseidon, a RAF air vessel, was near the vicinity of a J-16 Chinese jet. That jet has dropped a flare very close to the P8 Poseidon, within 30 metres, while it was conducting a routine patrol of the South China Sea. So we had a similar incident, you would remember, last year in May in the Yellow Sea, a story that Channel 9 broke. This is as significant, if not more so, because we're told that there would have been up to 12 people on the P8 Poseidon. Now, no one has been injured, Sophie, and all crew are safe, and there's no damage to the aircraft as well. But Australia has made a formal complaint to the Chinese authorities, both at a professional and a Navy and Army and Defence level, as well as diplomatically here in Canberra. Now, there's a second incident, and I think the context of this other incident is the first one I've just explained, and that is what we started with, and that is that there are 3 vessels, a Chinese frigate, a cruiser, and a replenishment ship not far from Australia in the northeast in the Coral Sea. These vessels are in international waters. They're not breaching any international rules. And I think that we're being told that the purpose of this is that we're watching them. We haven't reacted as the Chinese have with the J-16 flare event, but very serious turn of events. And I think with the emergence of Donald Trump and perhaps his position and influence in the Pacific, the Chinese might well be testing and flexing their authority in our region.
Yeah, 30 metres, a little too close for comfort. Andrew Probyn with that breaking news. Thank you. OK, let's get more on that breaking news. 3 Chinese ships are right now in Australian waters after another dangerous flare incident in the South China Sea. Defence analyst Malcolm Davis is live for us with his insight. Malcolm, thanks for your time. You've been following this breaking news throughout the afternoon. What can you tell us?
Well, essentially, in terms of the ships, we have 3 ships. The Genkai class frigate. Most importantly, what's known as a Renhai class cruiser, which is one of the world's most heavily armed warships in existence. We have 112 vertical launch system capabilities that can fire missiles, and a support vessel. So these ships are operating in our economic exclusion zone. Our international law of the sea says that naval vessels can enter the economic exclusion zones of other countries, but we'll be watching them very closely indeed to make sure they don't come any closer, particularly within our 12 nautical mile territorial seas. As for the incident up in the South China Sea, what happened was a J-16 fighter, which is a PLA Air Force fighter, released flares in close proximity to a Royal Australian Air Force P8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft. This was a highly unprofessional and aggressive act on the part of the Chinese. They've done it before, and now they've done it again.
OK, so it's certainly significant. How do you expect the Australian government to respond?
I would hope that the Australian government would respond forcefully and decisively. They should take the Chinese government to task on this. They should do it publicly, and they should do it in a manner that makes the message clear to Beijing that this sort of behaviour, particularly with the J-16s releasing the flares into the path of the P8, that's unacceptable behaviour. There can't just be a statement in Parliament addressing concerns and worries. There has to be something more significant. So I certainly would think that the Foreign Minister should be calling in the Chinese ambassador to convey our displeasure.
There is some suggestion this could be China pushing the boundaries of the new Trump presidency. Do you agree with that?
It's quite possible. There's an old Chinese saying, killed the chicken to scare the monkey, which basically means intimidate the allies of a big power to essentially intimidate that larger power. And I think that what we could see here is that China becomes more aggressive in terms of its military operations at the same time as it's facing these increasing tariffs being put on it by the Trump administration, and the Chinese will put tariffs back on the Americans. So I think that you are likely to see increasing tensions occurring in the region.
Just on that flare incident, can you explain how dangerous these flares are?
Sure. Well, I mean, if you have a Chinese fighter aircraft releasing flares close to or in the flight path of an Australian aircraft like the P-8, possibility would exist that the flares could be ingested into the engines of the P-8. The P-8 has 2 turbofan engines. If that were to happen, it could ignite the fuel in the engine and potentially cause a serious accident that could even result in the loss of the aircraft and the loss of the crew on board. So I do think that this is really aggressive and unprofessional behaviour on the part of the PLA Air Force and the Chinese government. And the Australian government does need to convey that message very clearly and very decisively and in the open to the Chinese government.
It's concerning. Malcolm Davis, we appreciate your insights on the afternoon news. Thanks.